Hey, this is Derica, your host on the Happiness Recipe Show 2.0, where top experts are sharing their personal stories of breaking through their own fears and resistance and into living their happy life and how you can do the same. I'm very excited to speak with our top expert today, Samantha Lotus. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I am very excited to be here.
Yay, you guys. If you haven't met Samantha yet, I'm going to dive into her bio so we can get to know her a little bit more. And then that's when I'll jump into those juicy questions. Okay. So, Samantha is a leading expert in the field of human and societal flourishing. When leaders are looking to achieve full self actualization and reach peak states of being in their health, relationships, lives, and businesses, they work with Samantha, sorry. Samantha has a unique approach to her coaching, consulting, and transformational experiences as she blends lifestyle alchemy, naturopathy, nutrition, holistic healing, plant and energy medicine, and quantum physics, spirituality, and heart led entrepreneurship to support her clients. Woo! Girl, there's a lot of expertise there.
That was a mouthful, and you did it so well.
I was like, I thought I would mess up on the other words, but I messed up on Samantha. Like, jeez, that is so gorgeous. You guys, this is why she's on the show. I always say, please do have your blue pen and journal ready because the information that's going to be poured through here, you don't want to miss, and it's just for you. All right, so get ready. Samantha, hun, can you tell us a bit of your story and what led you to be doing all that you do today?
Hmm. Yeah, a lot of suffering, a lot of trauma, a lot
Mm,
of suffering, a lot of pain and challenges,
yeah.
full breakdowns. I went through a lot growing up, a lot of challenges with my family, with my mom being very, very sick, and my dad having depression, and my stepdad being chronically depressed, and just really growing up with uh, so many challenges and seeing everybody around me being sick, stressed, diseased, and depressed. That was this blueprint for what I grew up with. However, outside of that, with my grandparents and my aunts and my friends' parents, I saw that there was another way to be, right? So
Mm,
I made it a part of my mission to really find out and figure out why people are so sick, stressed, diseased, and depressed, and what are the solutions. How can we make mommy and daddy happy? Like, how can we solve these chronic issues in life? How can I escape the prison that I felt that I was in my body and my life? And I made it my life mission to really answer those questions of, like, how do we just make the world a brighter and more pleasant place to be? And how can we have bodies and minds that allow us to truly thrive?
yeah.
And through a challenging journey of my own major sufferings, I really was forced to learn the tools and to
Yeah.
do the deep dive into the inner work that really allowed me to free myself, and therefore to have the answers and to hold the container and the spaces for others to do that deep healing as well.
Absolutely. That's so powerful. Like, usually you hear those that are taking the lead in this way of like, come on, you guys, like we could do this. There's this deep rooted pain that's back there, the upbringing. Like you said, I love how you let us in with that of the life that you witnessed from all of those you looked up to, everyone you loved around you, struggling in some way. It was very painful. And you didn't get into this too much. I know you will a little bit later. But if that's your roots, if that's your upbringing, you inherit that as well. So it's like, I bet that you also struggled with some of those conditions, right? Some of that depression, some of that stuff, because that's what we become our environment, right? And there's epigenetics and there's all that stuff. So here you are coming from that like a lighthouse from all that stuff, carrying the weight of it all on your shoulders. And you're like, there's more. How do we fix this? How do we fix this? But before you got to that journey, I know that there was some barriers there. There were some of those deep things that you had to face and go through. Could you share, is there a couple specific things, if you don't mind, like some of those fears and resistance that like you sat with that was holding your happiness back then?
Yeah, well, you absolutely nailed it. In psychology, we like to talk about, is it nature or is it nurture? Which is such a ridiculous question because it's always both.
Yeah.
You're born and you have the blueprint. Genetically, yes, epigenetically, ancestral, right? Ancestral trauma and the energetics that pass down the gene pool, down the gene
Mhm.
line. Like you are born carrying some of the traumas and the pain from being in the womb, from your mother, from your father. And so that's just naturally, innately wired in with your DNA. So you're born with a lot of it. And then when you grow up in a home where there's constant fighting, constant screaming, you're always punished, you're always in trouble, you're always stuffed into your bedroom and suppressed and told not to talk and not to speak and not to exist and not to be you, like naturally most children don't have the tools to be equipped to say, oh no, I'm not going to internalize that, that's mommy's challenge, that's my dad's depression. We normally as children we take it on and we digest it and it becomes a part of us with these beliefs that I'm a bad person, I shouldn't have been born, I don't I, I'm not able to be happy, I'm deeply broken, and some of the, or my existence causes people pain. And so these are some of the stories that were deeply ingrained into my subconscious and my DNA type of blueprint that carried through with me throughout my life, leading to making very poor decisions,
Mm.
very poor choices, getting into really terrible relationships, further perpetuating the trauma cycle, right? Because if we have these deep wounds, well, who are we going to attract? Other people to confirm these deep wounds that keep traumatizing us.
Oh
So
yeah.
relationship after relationship, and you know, all of the things which led to getting pregnant at 17, which led to an unwanted abortion, which led to deep post-traumatic stress disorder and my body shutting down. And essentially the huge epiphany point was I was about 26 years old and every single system in my body shut down. I was
Mm.
literally on my deathbed. I'd called the ambulance. I called my best friend saying, I think I'm dying. Like, what do I do? Like, you can have my things if I die. Like it literally got to that point. And I had what I could only call a near death experience where I met my higher self and was essentially given red pill, blue pill, like live or die. And I was forced to confront all of the ways in which I was abusing myself and causing my own suffering. And I was given the opportunity to really make a change, but that was going to be changing drastically the way in which I was interacting with my life so that I could reclaim and have a fresh start.
Yeah. Woo, girl. Deep. That is deep. I know the audience, you're just like me. I'm processing and relating to every single thing. I really feel our stories are the same in so many ways. And I know, and we all know those fetal position moments where we fall down and there we've hit rock bottom. There's nowhere to go but up or there, wherever
Yeah.
that is, right? And that's painful. And we're just crying our soul out of our body. And it sounds like in that moment, you've had a few of those, I bet, all up into
Yeah.
26. But 26 is one of those bigger ones, those bigger awakening moments where you knew I'm going to die. Continuing on with these programs as this is, I will not make it. And
Yeah.
you had that big guidance, that big higher self of you come out with wisdom, and you were able to leap, you were able to follow through with that. And it's not like this overnight, you guys. I mean, I'm sure she's done so, this is where all these certifications came from. Right, I bet it's
Yeah.
this is like the breadcrumbs. It's like we have the well, one big old moment and boom, we're like a brand new baby, reborn, now having to face all those things and
Yeah.
heal those things one by one. Who can relate? Oh, you guys, like email, reply to this email, say me if you can relate to that on how you hit those biggest moments. Those biggest moments become like a new brand new book in your life where it's like wild. You're seeing things about yourself you've never seen before. You've got to face things you never wanted to or even know they were there. right? All of that stuff led you, but you never gave up. You didn't surrender. You kept going.
Yeah, and that's something that's so beautiful about the human spirit is all living creatures want to live, right? And then there's this deep instinct to survive deeply encoded in all of life. And
Yeah.
that for me wasn't really enough to keep me going, to be honest, in some moments. But it
Yeah.
was the love of my grandmother. My grandmother's love protected me in the moments where I wasn't strong enough to continue going. And knowing that my grandmother, my grandfather, my aunt loved me so deeply and profoundly and unconditionally that that literally protected me from making some very challenging poor decisions that I would have regretted because I wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, the power of love, as well as the instinct to survive and to continue on, is very, very deep. And what you said, it's really true. You know, at that moment, it wasn't like, oh, I decided to live and my whole life was better. No, I realized that I was in shambles, that my body was completely broken, that my heart was broken, that I had immense trauma, immense post traumatic stress disorder. I had just so, it felt like everything was broken. I just felt every layer, my mindset, my thoughts, my relationships, my habits, my patterns, my eating disorder, my health challenges, like no purpose in life, lost, alone, all of it, just all of it. And I sat there and said, okay, well, where do we start? Right,
Yep.
we just got to start somewhere. And
Yeah.
that's what I did. Was I just started, I made a plan for myself.
Mm.
And if I'm allowed to swear, I titled it "How to Unfuck Yourself."
Hmm.
And I just, okay, where do we go from here? And I made a huge mind map with me in
Yeah.
the middle. And I was like, okay, what are all of the factors, all of the areas of my life that need to change? And it was every single one of them. So I drew it all out, and then I started to list, how can I start to make small improvements in every single area? What can no longer come forward with me in this new life that I'm architecting? What
Mm.
has to die with this old me? And what gets to be birthed through me in this new life that I am co-creating with source consciousness and myself?
Yes. Oh, that is so good. I love that tool of, and you started with blueprint. I heard you say that a couple times. That's what I thought about when you said mind map of here's this being right in the center and all these different aspects all around you, like lines and bubbles. And when you're looking at that, there's just branches to that stuff. And it that takes deep self-awareness. That takes a big moment of awakening right there to sit with your strengths, your weaknesses, like really peel back the layers of all that you are, all that is happening into your life. I remember first doing that and wanting to vomit. That was like, oh, it was just so hard to see these things. And and that's when I noticed epigenetics because a lot and most of it was just the line before me. Most of it was a line before me, right? And the things that we then do inherit and pick up along our trail, certainly 0 to 8. But it was like, whoa, that's mom, that's dad. There was just like all these things popping up on there. And that's
Yeah.
where I invite you guys all to look because as you're seeing all that, you're realizing that's so powerful and getting to say, okay, well, that's not mine. So let me tweak that one right now. This one, oh, that ain't mine either. It's kind of a way of, I don't know, getting to start over and repaint your life as you're saying, right? Just like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the biggest keys for me was forgiveness. It was
Yeah.
forgiving my mother for not being able to be the mother that I wanted her. It was forgiving my father for not being able to be the father that I wanted him to be. And then it was forgiving all the people that had hurt me. It was forgiving God. It was forgiving society. And then the hardest one was forgiving myself and for all of the things I did from a place of hurt to others. I did terrible things. I've done awful things: betrayal, lying, cheating, stealing,
Mhm.
manipulating, abusing. I've done it all
Yeah.
to the people I love the most. And being able to acknowledge that was definitely vomit inducing.
Yeah.
And then being able to find the compassion for myself to see that I was a sad, lost, broken girl who was just looking for love in all of the wrong places and making decisions and being led from her pain body. And yes, I caused pain to other people and I deserve to be forgiven.
Ooh,
And that process, like that was what truly unlocked the healing for me
I would
deeply.
agree. 100%, you guys. 100%. That is a whole nother, that's healing to its root right there, going back. And we don't need to spend much time in the past because the moment is here now, but realizing it's creating your future. So sitting with it for just a second and forgiving those that, let's say there was molestation, there was all sorts of stuff in my past too. So it's like going back there, how do you forgive someone that beat you or harmed you in that way? Well, sitting with it in your higher self and realizing that if they knew better, they do better. That everyone is doing their best at any moment in time. I remember like going over in my head over and over that people are just working with the tools they know and that I'm 100% responsible. It was like this crazy thing, you know? But
Yes.
that surrendering, I love how you said forgiveness and then compassion for those and yourself, the recipe. Big one.
Yeah.
Woo.
This is a really tough topic to talk on, and it's one that most people will avoid. However, I like to go into it because I feel it's very important
Yeah.
around molestation and being raped and being abused. Now, we'll hear oftentimes this, well, you are 100% responsible for how you feel. And when victims of abuse, rape, molestation, trauma hear that, it can be very triggering to say, well, I was not responsible for being raped. I was not responsible for being abused. And yes, that is completely correct. You're not responsible for what happened to you.
Mhm.
And you are responsible for how you choose to move forward. And if you decide to stay in victimhood, in the trauma and in the pain for the rest of your life, that's no longer the perpetrator that is causing you that. That is you. And so you are responsible to take yourself through that, to find a place of forgiveness and for to rekindle your to reclaim your power and to find your own happiness and to cultivate that within you. And it's not because the other person deserves to be forgiven or that by any means what they did was right. It's for your own health and your own happiness and your own sovereignty.
Yeah. Yes. Not approving the person or the action, but we're forgiving what happened so we can expand and move on. I love how you
Yes.
clean that up and really dive deep into that because that is one of the biggest pain points, I would say. So that was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness, hun. Okay. I love the mind map. Is there was something else that you did that you felt helped you surrender or break through some of those programs that held you back? Um,
Hmm.
Besides the mind map, was there something else you remember specifically that just like took you to that next level?
Yeah, I feel like for me, accessing my emotions was very challenging. I had become numb and my mind was so clouded and my ego was very strong and my pride was very strong. So I couldn't actually start there for myself. And so I started with the physical body. I cut out alcohol. So I stopped getting drunk, which being drunk was a huge catalyst for me making very bad decisions and abandoning myself. So I stopped getting drunk. I stopped eating foods that were damaging to my health. And I really committed to eating well, to exercising, to moving my body, and to start taking care of my physical self so I could feel empowered in my body.
Yeah.
And through that, through going to the gym, through playing volleyball, through eating well, I started to develop a new sense of self love and self
Mhm.
confidence. And from there, I really started to reclaim my power from the physical. And then
Excuse me.
that opened me up to starting to develop healthier relationships with people that were no longer based on alcohol relationships, but they were based on yoga relationships or working out or playing volleyball. And I started to attract people who also love themselves and who knew how to
Mhm.
respect themselves and therefore others. So I started to develop healthy relationships with beautiful women and beautiful men who really held space for me to feel my feelings and who showed up for me in such a loving, supportive way that really allowed me to open my heart. And through the opening of my heart, I got to explore in a safe way the traumas that I had,
Yeah.
and doing that inner child work, which was very, very monumental for me. The shadow work, the inner trauma work, the inner child work. And then from there, I was able, once my heart was open, my energy was flowing, and my mind wasn't on such panic, fight or flight mode all the time, I was able to go in and start to explore what were these stories that I kept telling myself, these programs that I was stuck in that was perpetuating the pain and suffering.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is so good, you guys. You're taking notes? I'm over here writing away like crazy. You guys, so I love you started with the vehicle, the vessel, the part of you that is getting you to access this earth plane, right? This is what the body you chose to experience life out of here. And I love how you're so tuned in that this is so connected, interconnected, the mind, the body, the emotions, it all affects one another, right? So you started with the physical plane, the body, which I love. And I think innately, those of you that are watching right now, like, yeah, like this, when my body hurts, I don't really feel so good. Or when when we're doing stuff to our body, it's like, damn it, I'm tired or whatever it is. And we get kind of cranky and all that other stuff. So you went with the physical body, started learning a different level of self-love by taking care of it, feeding it the right nutrition, giving it activity, doing all those things that the body loves to do. And then after that, you got into a new alignment of attracting higher vibrational experiences and people and things like that. You raised your vibe, boom, new vibe started coming in. Now you're ready to tackle. I was going to say tackle, but that's the wrong word. But, anyways, you went into the emotional side. And now you had the community to support you, which was so beautiful. I love that you said that because healing on our own sucks and hard and
I
long.
I don't know how people. I don't think people. I
I did
don't
it.
believe that people can like really like do just without any support. I don't know that that's possible for me. I had a background in psychology and naturopathy, and I had been coaching already for years, but it took me being held, seen, and loved by brothers and sisters in my life that really allowed me to feel safe. I did feel deeply safe and held, and were able to reflect to me different aspects of myself that I wasn't able to see. And healing truly does happen through our relationships,
Yeah.
right? Our relationship to ourselves, yes, of course, and to others. And so doing that work, having a coach, having a community, having massage therapists just touch you in a way that is so healing and rejuvenating, like this is where the true healing is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. Gosh, everything about your story is my story. This is so beautiful. I did the same thing,
Uh,
background in psychology, going through as a behavioral therapist, working at a hospital, doing so much for years. And then I let my ego down. I let this Miss Independent Strong person that I suppressed everything. Nope, I'm good. I'm fine. Keep pushing, keep moving. Um, and then letting that down and being vulnerable, raw and open and co-creative is where, oh, there it went. That's where all of the healing, that's where all the transformation happened when I let our brothers and sisters in, when I even let my husband in, to know this side of me, like stop being so scared of what was back there and just like, rah, here it all went, and that does take, take that pride has to get out of the way. The ego has to tame down. There's so much that has to happen for us to be okay to like show our authentic self and be able to let that stuff up so we can do something about it.
yeah.
So, wow, girl, yes, yes. Okay, so then the emotional side, just healing that inner child and having that community around you, having folks see your blind spots, because we cannot see our blind spots. And
Yeah.
gosh,
Well, one of the big, I have to say, one of the most transformative tools for me, I have to give it credit, it was working with plant medicine.
mm,
Like that, I'd worked with coaches, I'd worked with healers, I'd worked with friends, with lovers, but there was nothing as powerful. Well, that might not be fully true. One of the most powerful things that I had done was starting to work with plant medicines like mushrooms. Working with psilocybin was monumental for me, helping me to
mm,
reconnect to nature myself. Having an experience with Bufo alvaris, the toad medicine, helped me to connect to source consciousness and to see that it was a deep feminine wound, that where the whole left side of my body and being was completely corroded by these deep patriarchal misogynistic views that or programs that were deeply programmed into me. And then working with ayahuasca and
mm,
combo, like working with ayahuasca just pinned me to the ground and peeled my eyes open and forced me to look at every single thing, every conversation, every action, everything I've ever done that was still not processed in my body, which there was a lot. I had to just face it
Yeah.
and go through it and really release in a way that I hadn't released before and do the deep genetic healing. I went into my genome and into my genetic sequencing and cleared out the ancestral trauma and the woundage. And I don't know that I could have really done the depth of that work without the assistance of some of the shamans that I worked with and these amazing plant medicines.
Absolutely. I agree with that too. And yeah, I'll let that one sit with everyone. I think we can all, there's so many beautiful things where we can access that deeper level of who we are, where we drop into the soul and we open up and broaden our awareness of who we are and what we're doing here and what's all around us. And in those biggest moments is where that's what enlightenment and awakening and all these beautiful terms are called, because we get to finally see, we get to see a different view of who we are. And
Yeah.
that is just so beautiful in the transformational process. Instead of being suppressed or blinded by it, we get to actually face it to heal it. And doing it in that beautiful observant state. We're not asking you to go be afraid and relive anything or feel it as if it's happening. It's not that. You're peacefully observing what is in there so you can make the shifts.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good, girl. Now you've worked with thousands of folks. I mean, do you have a beautiful, so I know it's all personal, but is there a
Mm.
testimony, a client story of where they were and you guiding them into their happiness and where they are today?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm so honored and blessed to be able to guide people into these transformations. And for me, there's nothing more fulfilling than seeing somebody when their pupils finally dilate and they come back into themselves and they reconnect with who they really are and the shifts that happen from that. And so a story, one of my favorite stories, I would say, a client testimonial, is I met this beautiful woman at a dinner gathering party. And right away, we were very drawn to each other. And she started to share with me some challenges she'd been having about um, in her body, some stuff going on, like this chronic pneumonia. And I was just able to tune into the energy of it and share with her a little bit of a reflection. And right away, she said, "Okay, I know I need to work with you." And she pretty much begged me to coach her. So I said, "Okay." And we worked together for 6 months. And we got to go so deep into all of the different layers. And through this, she had one of the most powerful transformations. When she called me the first time, she said, "Samantha, you are the last person that I'm going to talk to before I kill myself. This is where I am. I'm at the end. I cannot imagine continuing to live. Like, you are my last hope. Can you help me?" And I remember tuning into the depths of my heart and asking my heart and soul, am I the right person for this human? And it was a clear yes. And after our 6 months together, she was a whole different person. And for her to say, "I finally love myself. I finally have friends. I finally know who I am and why I'm here." And now she's traveling the world. She's deeply anchored into her purpose, which is also as a light worker. She has amazing friends. She's just completely transformed. Her body is different. The way she looks is different. Her relationships are different. And I get to look at her and rejoice in the fact that I had a little piece to play in the coming together of her beautiful tapestry. And I get to have these kind of stories. I have thousands of these stories. And what is more fulfilling than that, to get to see now the many lives that she touches, and to see the true ripple of impact that gets to happen by me being in my truth and being able to do this work. It's the greatest gift on the planet.
Absolutely. There's just no better feeling. And I know, everyone, that's an incredible, beautiful story. I mean, I absolutely love it. And I was like right there with you, just to be able to witness, be sort of a breadcrumb in her beautiful journey, channel some words that she just, that kind of lights her up and wakens her up. I mean, really, we're not here to fix anyone. Everyone's got it. But to be that player that crosses her path and that that light and energy that just takes her to that whole nother shift of her being, there is nothing there's nothing better than that. I mean, I know mothers can relate to that, and everyone, when you help someone just and get across the street, when you help, when you give money to maybe a homeless person and you give them $1 and you like them, whatever it is. I mean, we have these moments inside of us when we just change something in someone else. It changes something within us, and it's this fulfillment that's like no other, right? When we
Mm.
fix our boo-boo on our little baby's bruise, like there's so much in that co-creation. It's so gorgeous. Oh my
Mm.
goodness, I had another great question. It'll come to me, but for the sake of time, Samantha, is there something that you do, say you get out of alignment, you feel down, maybe there's a pain or something, or you're just out of sorts? Is there a happy hack that you go to,
Hmm.
like in your life today, that you do that just lifts you back up and gets you and you're happy again?
Yeah, in full transparency, I'm going through a very challenging time in my life right now.
Mm.
Again, I feel like they just come. I go through really amazing phases, and then a major challenge comes, and I'm in a very challenging emotional place with a relationship of mine. And some days it's so painful and so hard. And what I do, and even today was one of them. What I do is I lay down in bed, place my hands on my body, and allow myself to feel the depths of my frustration and the pain and the sadness. And I'm very sensitive, and so these feelings come in and I cry. If I need to scream, I will scream. If I need to punch my pillow and just release the energy, I will do that. If I need to dance, if I need to weep, sometimes I just cry and cry and cry and cry. And once all the tears are gone, I just feel, okay, Sam, you got it out. What now? What is one little thing that you can do? And maybe what it was for me 2 days ago was baking a batch of gluten-free cookies. So I made a beautiful, healthy batch of gluten-free, delicious, organic chocolate chip cookies. And I had 2 cookies and I enjoyed them. And I said, you know what? I love these cookies. These cookies make me so happy. And I couldn't go out and be the happiest, smiliest person. I had to cancel a call or two. But you know what? It was just looking for, what are the few little things in my life that bring me joy? Okay, making cookies, had some tea. I phoned a friend. I went for a walk by the beach. I just did little things. I literally had to drag myself there, but I did these little things. And at the end of the day, I went to bed thinking, okay, I had a great day. I feel better. The next day I woke up, I was a lot better. I went to the gym. I phoned another friend, had made a green smoothie, took care of my body, asked myself, how do I want to feel today?
Yeah.
If I am in charge and I am fully responsible for my own feelings and my own thoughts, how do I choose to think and feel today, regardless of what's happening in the relationships, regardless of what's happening anywhere? Because
Mhm.
this little box that I'm in, me, this is what I can control.
Yeah.
And really reclaiming my power and remembering that I do get to choose how I feel.
Mm. You go, girl. That is
Mm,
I
thank
love
you.
it. Boy, you hit it. I love to feel it. I look at all of our inner selves, like our small selves, any 2-year-old, 3-year, 4-year-old around, when they're feeling it, when they're angry, when they're sad, when they're whatever, they will go all out in it. They will scream, they will throw a tantrum, punch the ground, they will snot at the nose, they will do whatever it takes, getting that energy, processing that energy like out of the body. They right are what we did as children. At little before we whatever happened, we sat with it. We didn't suppress it. We weren't ashamed of it. Right? We weren't embarrassed of who's going to watch me. We cried, and we cried hard, and we felt it and we were there with it. Then 5 minutes later, we got back up and we're like, okay. And it looks like that's
Yeah.
what you're doing. You're like, all right, what do I
And
want?
that's what animals do. They shake off their trauma. That's what
Yep.
children do, until we were taught that it wasn't okay, that you have to be a big boy. Big boys don't cry. You have to be a big girl.
Mm-hmm.
Stop crying. Stop yelling. Stop doing that. Stop embarrassing yourself. You should feel ashamed. And all of the layers of conditioning and shame programming taught us and conditioned us to feel that it's not okay for us to feel.
Yep.
And what you resist persists, and what you suppress is going to volcanically erupt at one moment or another.
Yep.
And as we grow up into these humans that are so conditioned to suppress all of our emotions,
Mm.
well, energy is supposed to be energy, emotion, energy in motion, but those emotions get trapped in our bodies and our tissues and our cells. And what happens? Dis-ease. Why is there so much cancer on the rise? Why is there so much autoimmune, body attacking itself? Like, we need to make the connections, the anxiety, the depression, the mental health. This is all a byproduct of us being traumatized in the way that we have been socialized to not feel what it is that we actually feel and know how to navigate through those feelings.
You go, girl. Another power moment. Yes, yes. I am loving this. Are you guys loving this? Are you feeling this? She is speaking to our heart, to our soul. This is truths of the universe are happening right here. Let it rip, you guys. Just let it out. You're human. You are going to feel emotions. They're here to serve you, not to hinder you. You're not bad for feeling any way. Let it go. Feel it. Reflect on it. What is it telling you? What is it showing you? Where is it guiding you? Just feeling good in your skin and who you are and your ways of being. You get to choose. And then you get to choose how you want to feel. And then choose another feeling. And then I love how you said, after all this is out of my body, I said, how do I want to feel today? What do I want to think about? We get to decide that. No one else. We are fully in control of our moments to moments, in the good, the bad, the ugly, all of it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is so good. I know you've got to run, Samantha. Is first, really quickly, which I think you just did, but if there's anything else channeling through in this moment for someone that is watching right now that is so high, they're like, yes, yes, yes. I mean, they're here for a reason, for purpose, and they've got a little fear.
Mm.
Maybe it's some self-doubt I'm feeling, or something might be coming up to you, and there's just that little barrier that's right there. Can you speak into that person that's
Mm-hmm.
ready to just push over?
Yeah. Fear, well, we know that fear is an illusion, and fear is the story that our mind makes up to keep us safe because it loves us. And so whenever I feel a fear, I like to thank it. I like to say, oh, thank you, ego, for trying to keep me safe with this fear. I appreciate you. And like, I'm good because I deeply desire this. I deeply want this. I deeply feel that it is my purpose to go after this. And so, fear, I know I appreciate you, and I'm good. I got this. And really affirming that your dreams and your desires, they're with you for a reason, and that you deserve them. And they are the breadcrumbs of your bliss. They are the guiding light leading you towards that, the path that you're meant to be on, the purpose that is calling for you. And it's about really taking the opportunity to trust yourself, that you do have everything that you need, that the universe wants you to succeed, that your dreams and desires matter because you are worthy. You are worthy of health and happiness and fulfillment and freedom and love and success and abundance. Because why not? Why not? And anytime you stop believing it, welcome in that feeling. Okay, thank you, limiting belief. I hear you that you're here for some reason. Thank you for expressing yourself. I don't choose to listen to you anymore because I know that I'm worthy, because I know that I've got this, because I know that my dreams and desires matter. And so, really trusting that higher self voice. And if there's anything that continuously is holding you back, then work with somebody. Work with somebody that can really hold you and see you and guide you and hold your hand in the process and the journey of self-actualization, because that can be very powerful too.
Oh, okay. Complete recipe. That was absolutely beautiful. Just thanking that fear. You're there. I see you. I love you. It's okay. You don't have to stay here anymore. I got this. I love that. It's beautiful self dialogue. It's not here to harm you. You're not self harming. It's just a protection mechanism. Just thank it and say, all right, I've got this now. It's good. I'm okay. I'll
Yeah.
keep pursuing it because, oh, Samantha, how you said that. If it's showing up, if it's coming to you, if it's something you want to do, this is your path. This is what you are meant to do. Is it going to be skips and rainbows to that thing? No, never. But it's yours. Go after it. You can do that passion. You can have that purpose, that dream, that goal you have. Keep going. Just keep going. You're worthy of it. or it just wouldn't be in your head. It just wouldn't be part of your life if you weren't meant to do it or feel it or have it, So that I don't think any expert has says that clearly yet on this show. So I just am so thankful that you brought that up. So beautiful. Samantha, I know you've got to run. How can everyone find you? Well, everyone that her information is here on your speaker page. Her website is here. But can you speak into do you have certain other social media platforms? Like what are all the ways that people can get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way to connect with me directly is through Instagram at Samantha_Lotus. If you want to just follow the day to day and connect and say hello. If you're looking to really be held and guided along the path of your bliss and your joy and your fullest self expression, then you can definitely apply to work together one on one via my website at samanthalotus.com. Very simple. I also have a YouTube channel if you want to follow up with some videos. Facebook, you can pretty much find me everywhere. But if you are somebody that is really looking to go all the way and fully self-actualize, then I definitely recommend and invite you to reach out to me to explore if we'd be a fit to work together.
Yes, please. I highly encourage you guys. If you have any resonance right now, if you're feeling a yes, that you just know that she's spoken to your heart, take the leap, you guys. Reach out to her, contact her, fill it out. You have nothing to lose and a whole nother life to gain. Seriously, love you guys all for tuning in and watching. May you never be the same after this episode. And thank you, Samantha, for your wisdom and all this lovely energy you shared with us. Tremendously grateful for that.
I want to recognize you for creating this space to have these amazing conversations, and just want to acknowledge your light and your beauty and your brilliance. And thank you so deeply for showing up so beautifully and authentically and doing this really important work.
Oh, I'll take it. I'll take it. We're in this together. We are all in this together, you guys. All right. Love you and love the rest of your day. Bye bye.
So much love.